Considering 3 bond elections over the next 6 years. These bonds would pay for recent recommendations made by the Jacobs Engineering Group.
It found many schools are being underutilized due to a decline in population. The firm recommends closing a number of schools and rehabilitating others. ABC 7's Ashley Rodriguez is live to explain why some take issue with this. Ashley.
Well, EPISD is considering holding 3 bonds, one in 2015, one in 2018, and one in 2021. These bonds would raise upwards of $850 million, meant to help pay to close some schools down. But don't forget, bonds were held in 2003 and 2007 to help raise money to build new schools. So now the question is, do taxpayers really know what they're paying for?
How do we get here?
Board President D. Margo calls into question the judgment of past EPISD trustees, who, as he said, didn't study the district, but found reason to build numerous new schools since the early 2000s. Now, after commissioning a nearly $1 million study, EPISD discovered it's actually losing students and would cut millions in repairs by closing underutilized schools.
The trustees failed to do this historically. Normally you would do something like this with the asset size we have and the number of buildings and structures about every 5 years. But it wasn't done. And they've known for years it was the old proverbial kick the can down the road.
An El Paso Inc. article from March 2007 cites new troops arriving in Fort Bliss would bring in 10,000 students, and enrollment would jump nearly 16% to more than 74,000 by 2011. There were 2 bonds held, one in 2003 for more than $200 million and another one in 2007 for $230 million, both with funds set aside for new schools, the majority elementary schools.
We certainly built those schools based on the projections that we had.
Dr. Lorraine O'Donnell is a former trustee and vice president of the board throughout the 2000s. That projected growth from Fort Bliss never came, and now, with a population at 59,000 with a projection of 5,000 less in the next 5 years, O'Donnell says that information was given to her from administration under Dr. Lorenzo Garcia. She doesn't say the board made a mistake.
I really can't respond to that except to say that based on the data that we were given and the projections that we were given, I mean, to open a new school, to build a new school, that is something a school district is quite reluctant to do. We're not anxious to do that because it occasions huge expense and a huge impact on the budget. If that's something that we did, that's something that we needed to do at the time. I think if you look at the numbers of the schools that were built, you'll see that those schools are full.
And most are, with the exception of McGough and Middle, Aoi, and Logan Elementary in the low 60s. Newer schools are at 75% capacity or higher. Another former trustee, Sergio Lewis, though, is suggesting something new, redoing the boundaries.
It's too easy to say we overbuilt, and it's too easy now to say that you need to close schools. That's always been a tough issue, and it's always been an issue that people don't want to address. It's always been an issue, possibly an issue right now that the Board of Managers doesn't want to address, but now that the Board of Managers that are still there for approximately another 4 months, redo boundaries is my suggestion to the Board of Managers. At least do a study on redoing boundaries all the way from the west side all the way around through central through northeast and see if that will fill the void.
Now keep in mind the district is considering closing 12 elementary schools, although no decisions have been made. The board hopes to make their final decision, though, by the end of February. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ashley.